and I just kept going back into the lips because I think for him, something about these lips is not quite right yet, but once I get it, you're definitely going to be able to tell that it's him.
Hey Mike, this is really cool. We have a number of questions from the audience, and if you don't mind, we can spend a couple of minutes answering those.
Sure.
One of them is, how long have you been using Painter?
I started using Painter 2 years ago. It's funny, I've had pretty much every version of Painter since 3, but just because I was so used to using Photoshop, I never had the time to, or I never let myself have the time to learn the interface. I think with 8, I believe it was 8, the UI got a little closer to Photoshop, and it was easier for me to wrap my head around it, and that's when I just really forced myself to learn it. Since then, I haven't been able to really go back.
We'd like to hear that. That's great. Another question that came back was, what was your process for the Dilla portrait? I guess you have portraits of your work on your website, and people can find it quite easily. If you can discuss it, if you can compare this to this Snoop portrait, perhaps.
Absolutely. That piece is very similar to this piece. I mean, almost exactly. That's kind of why I did it. I wanted to show the Dilla process, but that one took me a lot longer.
Okay, while we're waiting for that one, perhaps also somebody said that we're assuming that you're using a Wacom tablet, and if you can tell us about the model and.
Sure. I'm using an Intuos 4.
Yeah.
It's a 6x9. I never got really into the really big tablets, even though I'd love to have a Cintiq one of these days. But yeah, the 6x9 is the right size for me. That's what I've been using lately. So for this Dilla, you can see like all of those little details in the beard and the lips and everything. That's just hours of going in and noodling with that scratchboard tool. The areas over here is stippling from another airbrush that I have from Painter. This is all done in Painter, and it's just spending a lot of time and going in and refining it. I think I'll be doing the same thing with the Snoop later on to get it to where I want it to be, but that's how I did this piece.
Okay, that's great. Another question here: are your layers set up based on sections you're working on? So it's the face or the mouth or what have you, or is it by progress stages? So the early stages and the later stage.
Sure, it's stages. I'll always, basically I like to block in those colors on, like I said, on the layers under the line drawing, and then as I go on top of the line, as soon as I get to something I like, I'll save it immediately and move on to a new layer. One of the things I was talking about a little earlier is the great thing about having these layers is like I'll go in, turn them on and turn them off constantly, and I might see that maybe I want his jaw to be a little more defined, so I can take my eraser, turn down the opacity, and just kind of hit that edge a little bit and show what's underneath of it. And I can do that with all of these different layers and go back to earlier versions without destroying what I already have.
That's very cool. Also, somebody mentioned that you were able to get a particular brush from Ryan Church, and could you tell us where you got it?
Yeah, absolutely. That when I first started using Painter, I was after reading all the manuals and everything, I really wanted to see somebody doing it, kind of like you guys watching today. It helps if you can see somebody doing what they do. So I got the Gnomenology disc of his. It's Introduction to Painter, and it's on their website.
Okay. So is that Gnomon, GNOMAMON workshop.com?
Correct. I'm trying to get someone's attention over there. I noticed they don't have a whole lot of tutorials for Painter, so I want to change that.
Okay, that sounds good. I think those were the questions that we had. We have one last one here. Explain what you do with your line work before painting. Instead of changing color, could you just change the opacity as a multiply layer?
I could, yeah. The reason that I add a different color a lot of times is even when I set it to black and turn it down really low, uh, once I start getting my skin tones underneath, it, it's very gray. So a lot of times I'll choose like a beige or something like that that just kind of complements the skin tone, but I can still see what's going on.
And we have one final comment here that what we're looking at here looks better than the actual photos. So I guess that's kudos to you. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you for hosting this webinar. I think it was great, and it's just wonderful to watch somebody who's a true skillful artist to use the painter to its maximum capacity and see what the wonderful results that can come out of it. So thank you, Mike. I think I speak for all of us, and I say this was great. So thanks for stopping by, and hope to see you back here soon. Thanks.